So, what was known of Salty, aka LeBlanc, at that time before he was killed?
Well, he was a hardcore Crip, and he was pretty well known, and with Park Village Crips, okay, which turned out to be Victory Park, where White Island became Park. That's where the Crips started hanging out, Park Village Crip, and he was really a guy by the name of Reno, was inspired by Salty, who later became a leader of the Park Village Crips. I didn't know Reno that well, but I knew that he admired Salty. He was very popular.
So it must have been a huge incident when Salty got killed.
Big time.
Yeah.
It caused a lot of retaliation. Yeah, we heard a lot of shootings, drive-by shootings, the guys getting beat up, guys being shot in the leg, that kind of stuff as a result of that killing.
Because you were patrolling District 2, where Lorenzo Benton was from.
Exactly.
And I guess the district where Salty got killed in, that was a different district?
Oh, it was District 4.
Okay.
Clear across town.
So there must have been some back and forth going on
right
in the mid-'70s when you were patrolling?
Yeah, it was like I said, there was a connection made now. There was definitely a bridge had been built.
Now, were you aware of, I guess you would call him a counselor named Bob Simmons, who had a couple houses in Compton?
Very well. He the one that I visited was on Pine, I think, in Santa Fe, and that's where he had Tookie Williams. Stanley Tookie Williams was assigned there, and we went there. Me and Sol Langster, we went to talk to Simmons. He was very cooperative, believe it or not. But then he was kind of he ridiculed the fact that we were trying to do something. We were trying to compare the Crips to Al Hardin. He says, this ain't no Al Hardin gang in Watts. These guys are whatever. His estimation was of the Crips. But he was actually real close with Stanley, with Tookie. And we were looking for Tookie that day, and he said, well, Tookie's not here. He's not here. I think he was in the back room someplace. So we were looking for him. We found him later on.
So basically, he was trying to downplay the role of the Crips.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Because when Tookie ended up at Simmons's halfway house, the shootings at Luthers Park, which was a blood stronghold, it went up like 60%. So all of a sudden, I said, who in the hell is doing the shooting? The Street Telegram will tell us, and we heard it was Tookie that he was going by. And this is going to cause a major gang warfare if it kept on, especially if you killed one of the, like China Dog, Marcus Dunn. If Marcus Dunn gets killed, you can imagine what's going to happen.
Now, Tookie was technically like an outsider. He's from L.A., but now he's put into this, he has basically a job. He's working for Bob Simmons as the head guy there.
Right.
Even though he is a Crip. What did you guys think of this outsider that was very influential in Compton, even though he wasn't even from Compton?
Well, it was a detriment to us because we had no dealings with him before. He was from South Central LA. Okay, I think he went to Fremont or Washington. I think he went to Fremont. So he didn't even go to the Compton schools or anything at all. We had no bearing on him. We had no guideline on him. We knew Sylvester Scott, or Lorenzo, but we didn't know that much about Tookie. We knew his reputation, but that's about it.
So who were some of the other Pirus that Sylvester Puddin Scott and Lorenzo Benton that you were aware of at that time?
There was Larry Watts. His name was Cam. There was Little Vincent Owens. There was A.C. Moses. I think his name was Babalu or something like that. And so, he was actually, AC didn't live in Compton. He was from the Valley someplace. I think he was from Pacoima or something.
No, he actually moved from 77th and Broadway.
Oh, okay.
He lived in L.A.
Yeah, he used
but
to come in.
He had an auntie or a relative that lived over
in Compton. Yeah, because we knew he wasn't from Compton.
So you was aware of Baba Louie way back then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was a big tall guy.
Yeah, I knew him well.
Okay, now you mentioned you just mentioned little Vince. One of them has a brother that became a
His
deputy,
brother,
right?
yeah, Vince Owens' brother became a sheriff.
Okay. That's kind of unusual, right?
No.
One guy's in the gang, the other.
That happens all the time. We had Marcos Palafox, who was a Compton cop, whose brother was a Largo 36, a shooter for Largo 36.
Now, let me ask you, like, how does someone get hired? Because you got to do background to become hired as a cop.
Right.
You got to say, oh, yeah, my brother's in the gang. Or, how does that work out when you're going through the test?
It's kind of I never worked background, so I can't really put a tag on it. But we knew that when Palafox came on, that his brother was a shooter for Largo. We knew that, But it didn't stop us from hiring him. He turned out to be a damn good cop.
The next thing I wanted to ask was an incident that happened with a guy named Bartender, Joseph Lyle Thomas.
Lyle Thomas, yeah.
He lived on the east side, but got killed on the west side. I believe it was at a music thing.
Skateland. It was right by Doodle Studio.
Doodles, and that was run by Alonso Williams.
Right.
He was like a music guy.
Yeah, Doodles had a lot of, the rap music. That's where it started, right there.
Yeah, it did. But this was prior to the rap era. This would have
Right.
been 70. I think Bartender died in 75 or
Yeah, that's when I heard 75, 76.
He was actually in Time magazine. I don't know if you ever knew this. There's an article about Bartender.
A Bartender?
Either Time magazine or one of these magazines that talked about him as being a gang member in Compton.
They had an article on the Long Beach Press. Long Beach Press had an article on him. And what happened was he said that he ran Looters Park, okay, because he was an original hustler. That's what they were called before they became the Pirus or the East Side Pirus. And he put down that he ran Looters Park. Well, what happened was we heard about it, right? So we had a unit called Banish, and we had a guy named Ron Malachi, who was a decorated Vietnam veteran. I mean, he had like medals up the yang in Vietnam. He had been involved in quite a few battles, and I think he was still a little shell shocked. He became a Compton cop, and so we had a band called the Green Weenie. So they went to Looters Park and they found Bartender. And they put him in the Green Weenie and they beat the shit out of him. I'm telling you the truth. They beat him up. And they said, you don't ever go and tell Long Beach Press or any newspaper that you run Compton, that you are the main man. You think you're the main man? I mean, they didn't put him in the hospital, but they gave him a little bit of an awakening. Got his mind right. His mind wasn't right.
So he was, I guess, a known guy.
He was known.
Yeah.
He was known. He's the guy, believe it or not, that somehow he was on Tejada. I don't know if he lived in Tejada or he had a friend that was on Tejada. But anyway, Debo, who was actually the leader of the Front Hood Crips, which was a pretty big gang. They were pretty big, from 133rd to all the way. He went across the canal, because the canal separated the Pirus from the Front Hood, the Compton Canal. He went across the canal over to Tejada Street, knocked on the door and slapped Bartender across the face. That's the story I heard. That was Debo, D-E-B-O, the leader of Front Hood.
Okay. So whatever happened, I guess the Skateland or Dudos, where he got killed at, where Bartender got killed at, that was the district you were patrolling at the time, right?
Yeah, and that's also the district where I grew up.
Yeah. So did you guys, were you part of that investigation when Bartender got killed?
No, I wasn't. I heard about it had happened, but I wasn't working that investigation. So.
Because I would imagine that was a big killing too.
Yeah, it was. We all heard about it. Oh God, In fact, I heard that his mother was working at the Dominguez Valley Hospital when they brought the body in.
Yeah, was she a nurse, I think?
I think she was working in the emergency ward. I don't know if she was a nurse or not, but she was there.
Now, there's another incident of a guy from Santana being killed named Kim Tate.
I handled that case.
His nickname Bullet?
They had two. There's Kim and Kent, okay? And Tate. Yeah, that was his nickname. And they were the originators of the Santana Blocc Crip. They went to a carnival behind the Sears old parking lot over on Long Beach Boulevard. It was a carnival there. So the Tate brothers, Kim and Ken and Turtle and Freddie Stays, some of the main hitters for the Santana Blocc, went to the carnival. They had a Ferris wheel, all that good stuff. Somehow, Kim got separated from the other Santana Blocc boys. I think it was behind a girl. He went after her. Well, when they separated, he got cut off, and he got cut off because the Bloods, saw him. A guy by the name of Porky. Okay, his name was James Cooper. Porky and the rest of the Pirus chased him down, and they shot Douglas, who was with Kim Tate. They shot him in the butt because he was running. So they shot him in the butt, and then they caught Kim Tate. We didn't know what had happened. They gave me the case. Me and John Soissons. There was another guy involved with that killing was named Donald Hazelwood, and Donald Hazelwood got caught in Manhattan Beach. Him and two of his buddies went to Manhattan Beach, and they pulled a robbery off Rosecrans, right? But they got lost. They didn't know how to get back to Compton. All they had to do was get on Rosecrans, and drive back. But they got lost, and they stopped at a service station to ask directions how to get back to Compton. Well, the guy had a monitor, and he heard that there had been a robbery, so he called Manhattan Beach. They busted down Hazelwood. We were looking for him. Donald then, we interviewed him, and he gave up Cooper. Now, it's been a long time. Those guys are around. Yeah, Donald gave you up, James.
Now, that homicide happened not in District 2, right?
No.
It was on the east side, right?
It was way in the old Searsville off Long Beach Boulevard.
So how did you work that case?
I was working detectives.
Okay.
Yeah, so we worked. We didn't have any district. We worked the entire city. Yeah. So, but the thing what got me was that Douglas got shot in the butt, and he never lived that down. That he had been shot in the butt running, and like I said, that caused retaliation. And McQuillers, they had Donald and Ronald McQuiller. They were twins, like the Tate brothers, Kim and Kent. Well, the next day, Randy McQuiller gets shot and killed off Temple Street. Now, the street telegram, again, what we heard, was that Baby Gangster did the shooting. We never did find the shooter, but it was heard. It was the word in the street was that Stays shot him. And they had about 10 shootings after that, between the two, between Santana Blocc, and the fact that the Pirus.
Now, at this time, Turtle was a known Santana Blocc already?
Oh, yeah, big time. He was big time.
What do you remember of Turtle?
He was real good friends with a guy by the name of Black Pork Chop. They were really good pals. They used to run around together. And the reason that Reggie Wright knew him well was because they did time not in time, but they went to the same school, Jacob Reese, in L.A.
You're talking about Reggie Wright Sr.
Yeah, yeah. No, not Reggie Wright Jr.
Yeah.
Reggie Wright Jr. was a jailer when I was a cop. He had just been breaking. He was a jailer.
So Jacob Reese, that's a school for tough kids. Yeah.
It's a reform.
So Reggie Wright Sr. was a tough kid growing up, I guess.
He wasn't a tough kid. He got busted for some crime as a kid, and they put him and he grew up in Imperial Court. So he was with the Crips. So they sent him down to Jacob Reese. But that's where he got to learn. He met all those gangbangers. Later on, years later, he knew all those guys, and he was a gang expert.
So he knew a lot of the guys on the east side of Compton, right?
Right.
And you knew a lot of the guys on the west side of Compton.
Right.
Would you say that you and Reggie Wright Sr. together probably knew more about Compton gangs than any other cops?
Oh, by far.